Sahib Dhamwat and Venu Arora. So I hand it over to Ashish.
Thanks a lot. I was about to say thanks a lot, Watson. We have names for each other. He refers to me as Sherlock Holmes at Fora, other than this. So I was about to say elementary, my dear session, but this session is obviously far from elementary. We've had a whole lot of questions about sustainability, which have already been raised across this morning, this afternoon. And indeed, I remember coming to the first Sammelan, and in fact, even meetings before that, sustainability has always figured. So I think the good news for us, ladies and gentlemen, is that the topic of this session is beyond financial sustainability, and I hope we stay with that remit. Because if you begin to unlock this session, it says sustainability puzzle, beyond financial sustainability, a holistic look. So I think there are three key words over here: puzzle, beyond, and holistic. Holistic is a comprehensive look at the other elements of social, human, technological, and the other principles which go into community engagement. I think these are very, very important questions. After 12 years since the policy was announced, it's not just time to take stock, but it's time to ask ourselves, have we, as community radio stations, as a sector, as an environment, become more sustainable? Have we been successful in building what Iskra Panevska of UNESCO, I think, mentioned? She described the objective as an independent and distinct third tier of radio, built on clear principles of community management and ownership. I think these raise a host of very, very important questions pertinent to sustainability. For instance, are we as community radio stations accountable to our listeners? Are we moving in this direction? Or are we, in point of fact, moving away from this, pressurized and influenced by other compulsions? We've talked much about policy reform and the need for policy reform. And indeed, we've been told that a modified policy is on its way. But we need to ask ourselves, is that necessarily going to make us as a sector more sustainable? And how have we engaged in building this policy reform? Has our movement been in the direction of building an independent community radio sector, whose sustainability is driven by a philosophy of community ownership? Or has in point of fact our engagement been more reactive, more piecemeal? I think many of these questions really relate to not just issues like the ban on news which we've been hearing. Of course that's important, but we need to take a hard look at the larger environment, at larger issues like spectrum equity, like the challenge of digitalization. I think these are questions pertinent for sustainability that concern not just the CR sector in India, but indeed community radio across the world, and we need to answer these. I think we've got a panel, a very distinguished panel over here, combining a huge and versatile range of experience and talent. They've already been introduced. I don't need to say very much more, except to explain the guidelines over here. My request is for each member to make presentations not exceeding 8 minutes, and then we'll open up the house for discussion. So thank you very much, and without more ado, I'd like to begin by inviting our senior most member over here in every sense, whose experience in the community radio sector really needs no introduction. Dr. Sridhar, community media expert who's been with the CR sector for as long as I can remember. Dr. Sridhar, over to you. Please.
phase, technology phase. The good ideas were given to me that I can use Bluetooth, I can use all sorts of things. I did send my presentation with one hand typing. Good morning, Ashish and Archana. And even before that, I shared my notes with Ashish from back. I've been given a time of 8 minutes. I don't want to talk much. I will very I want to give certain examples which I was asked to talk about with my own experience, rather than my own presentation which I have in my iPhone. So I'm reading it from it. First, we need a conviction. Financial sustainability alone is not enough. I know the radio stations have got a budget of 2.5 lakhs per month. I know a radio station which is having only 5,000 rupees a month. But it is a conviction. You may not move. Down south, the radio station has got only 5,000. But it has got participation for fishermen. It's got participation, it's opened up its doors. Therefore, money is not really. I can introduce you to a person after the session, 5,000 a month. My own radio station which I started, Anna University, 10 years back, is having a budget of 40,000 rupees? Yes. Just 40,000. Even after 10 years, they have won an award. Therefore, money is, people think Anna University is a crore worth of university. It doesn't pay 40,000 rupees a month. They got 2 awards. One is the UNESCO Sankha Award, video and this award. So money is not the only criteria. You need money, confidence. The example I quote in South India is people's conviction and confidence that they want to run the radio station. And then making it open. The third point was open up for participation. We did it in Nana University every Saturday. The door is open for the community to come and sing and go. Anybody can come. There will be some celebration by a music teacher, but anybody can come and sing and go. Open up the door. Any NGO can come and give. Jivanandam is here in Telangana. I remember in 2004 he gave us a, I think Rajesh is sitting there, he says, Rajesh told me, when Jiva came and gave me this Narandana cake. So if you open it up to other NGOs, other organizations for participation, and do not own the radio, my own, in Anna Universities I will not give it, to Madras University students cannot come. If it is Narandana, I will not give it to other NGOs, you cannot. Then you need money. Open it up. Yes, open up the participation. The fourth point I gave it in my presentation was shun exclusivity. The same, both of them are same. There are stations which, one example is Jadavpur University. The way in which they have opened up the participation of the people. Of course, they don't have that kind of money that Mumbai University has got. But they have also won an award. And I know one award in a station. Most probably I am talking about Tamil Nadu that constitute at least 1/5 of the radio stations here in the country. One radio station has got 2 national awards and only 1 staff member. And both of them are related to the community-oriented programs. And then what I find is, if you train the people who are here, I understand, are from radio stations but who are in the middle management level. The people who are here are not actually producing the programs on the ground, are not actually the so-called owners, like the institutional owners or NGO owners. They are not here. So, the message that they carry from the Jan Bhavan is not percolating to the ground level. Therefore, we need training for the top management and we need training for the lower level functionaries of community radio. Then we can reduce the need for finances. Therefore, training is important. And now the next point is also similar to that, hands-on training and inculcation of the spirit of CR to the last person in the system. Majority of the radio stations I do visit, alternate. They do, I do go to radio station. The last night person does not know what is GOPA. What are we signing? What are the rules and regulations? What is the WON? Nobody knows last night. They know somebody comes regarding it. So if you educate them, I think you'll be able to have a better sense of confidence and ownership among them, and you'll have a good programs. And then that does not confuse people. It's what they don't want it. There are so many forums where we talk different things. And then most important thing is, if you, so that today there are 10 radio stations that got awards. If the other radio stations are having an opportunity to have an exposure visit, spend 2 months, 2 weeks, 2 days, whatever it may be, exposure visits to the radio station, how they are doing the program, how Prakash Shankar is doing the program. We only see it in the Facebook, but if there is a on the spot, how the Pinky is doing, our father is doing it, so having the exposure visit will help reduce the dependence on financial resources. And then to have good and bad CR. Exposure visit also means not only visit to good CR, but also people should go and see bad CR also. And therefore, they can compare themselves. We don't get them. It's bad CR with good CR. Let them go. And then another thing I found, most amount can be reduced if you have a good sense of channel management or station management. Station management means immediately they take administration and finance, human resources. I'm not talking about it. How to do a program for 8 hours, how to do a program for 2 hours, how to archive it, how to make programs, how to draw upon from your archives, or how to do live programs. And that's a mix. I think many of the people will know how to do programs, how to do participation, how to have interactive programs in the community, but not how to manage a channel. I think if you teach them, you can run an 8-hour transmission like this. I think that will help. And documentation. If one fellow, many of them have left today. I find there are new CR managers who come. Sir, that fellow has left. He has already gone. So, if you don't leave any documentation, what was program broadcast, either electronically or manually. I have seen a radio station in Madurai. They have appointed 2 people, daily huge money, but they have also appointed a pune, so-called Aya of a school. The kind of documentation she maintains, I think Cage is seen her working, and the kind of things she has arranged is very unpart. This is not a highly educated lady. The kind of documentation she needs. I think he has documented it. I think Cage has documented even videos. I think that's one thing that we should do. And last but not the least, equitable sharing of money and resources spent from funds allotted by multilateral, bilateral government and other agencies. Have what I call it to the BPFCR stations. That will be of more help. We do a lot of conferences, we do a lot of spend money. But we should also realize the BPL radio stations, CR stations. And then we'll give our share of money in content management, in content production. I also want to say that one last point, DAVP rates. There is a clamor for increase in rates, so many things. There is a second portion of DAVP which says, I'll give you this much of money to produce your programs on your own dialect and your own language, 6,000 rupees or 5,000 rupees. If that concept is popularized, you will, the content that you create in the country will increase rather than just taking money and broadcasting and advertising. And stop with that. With that, I thank you very much for giving me the
Dr. Sridhar, and thank you for a number of reasons. Your principles, peppering them with practical examples and your experience. I now request Mr. Regimon, the Director, MIB, to share with us his presentation and thoughts.
Good evening. I am not asked, you didn't ask Mr. Sridhar because we have been in the system for the last decades, but I have a little experience of 2 years in the sector, so I throw some light on what I think about this sustainability of CR stations. To me, if you ask me, the sustainability, many people are telling that it should not be looked at financial sustainability, but it is the most critical factor for any station to sustain the operation. Other sustainability such as program sustainability, human sustainability and technological sustainability are linked with this financial sustainability. If you look at the program sustainability, then there should be a participatory approach and community engagement. Continuous participatory approach and continuous engagement with the local community is essential for a CR station to remain in touch with the local bodies. So main factor in this regard are language of broadcast, program formats, packagings and themes and feedback mechanism. If you then the role of program management committee comes into play. In many stations, if you look at stations, the program management committee has not been constituted because their role has not been defined, articulated in a proper manner. The meetings are not being held in a proper manner. So, program management committee, if it functions in a proper manner, the program sustainability will automatically come into place. So various studies have shown that those stations that have clear and robust representation of marginalized groups on the program management committee are better sustained in content. Another important aspect, program sustainability, is related to maintaining a consistent broadcast hours. This will be required for lasting impact with the listeners. And effective feedback mechanism needs to be put in place by CR station for improving the content. Another key important factor is the human sustainability. The factors that affecting human sustainability are presence of a team of paid staff, the recruitment, the retention, capacity building and training. For a station to sustain, there is a need to have a core team of paid staff members. The committed involvements of volunteers would also lead to sustained station. As you know, the many stations are witnessing high attrition rates. The retention of staff is a critical factor for human sustainability. This can be done by way of training and capacity building. And training should be imparted in such a way that it should be a continuous process. It should be imparted to all the staff in the CR station on a continuous basis. For that purpose only, in the 12th plan, we have introduced a component for capacity building. It is though not much progress has been done towards this end, but we are working with stakeholders to draw up a roadmap for capacity building for personnel who are working in the CR station, technical aspects and program aspects. Technology sustainability, the key factors include availability of AMC and insurance, technical skill at the station to fix minor and technical problems, and the continuous power backing, training on technical aspects of the CR stations. You know that most of the stations are constrained by limited resources, hence they can't afford to go in for a high quality equipment to maintain quality of production and program broadcast. Station often faces technical glitches such as breakdown of transmitter, software, recorder, etc. So a dedicated team of workers who are technically qualified and trained to maintain the equipment and solve the minor problems is extremely important for a station to sustain. And more of the stations are also, the remote area stations are also facing erratic power supply and also constant breakdown of electricity. All these factors greatly affect the technical sustainability of stations. Many stations have already taken various steps to ensure technical sustainability. This includes ensuring equipment against the damage from natural calamities, setting up lightning arresters and circuit breakers, selecting more appropriate vendor along with a good vendor and annual maintenance contract. As I told you earlier, the key sustainability factor is financial sustainability. These are directly linked with other sustainability factors. A sound financial base is the key parameter for the survival of growth of a CR station. The community support scheme launched by the ministry would provide an initial investment for CR station to set up. But over the years, the funding scenario has improved a lot. Presently, we are having more than 40 stations who have been empaneled with ADP and they are getting revenue through advertising. And many stations are also getting funds from involving organizations, other international agencies, and government and non-governmental agencies. But stations need to develop skills in marketing their airtime with advertisers. They also need to drop a business plan indicating operating expenses and possible revenue sources. And they can also go for innovative kind of generating revenue, such as the radio Memath is giving scheme. So we need to explore the innovative kind of generating revenues. So in overall, if you ask me, the sustainability of these stations includes broadcast of fresh and responsive content derived from the community, building a strong and dedicated generation of revenue, and safeguarding and maintenance of equipment. These are the key factors that affecting the sustainability of the radio station.
Thank you, sir, for giving us an overview of the factors that determine sustainability. I now request Venu Arora, Director, Audio Sync Media, to make her presentation.
Thanks, Ashish. As Ashish said in the beginning, we've visited the area of sustainability over and over again for many years. And while I'm most of the time quite optimistic, at this summit, I'm worried. I'm worried because I see ourselves hurtling towards making the same mistakes that the development sector has made over and over again, and working in the same paradigm. We are asking community radio stations to meet some of the ideas that we've asked our NGOs to meet by their donors. Good documentation, accountability to the donor and the resources that you get. And I'm wondering why, for 10 years, we have not found a space for what Salim in the earlier session was saying, we are community radio, and it's about voices. But having said that, there is some road that we have traveled. And I think that's good, that road we have traveled together. And it's a point to reflect, just like the point of reflection that individual CR stations are today making with their self-evaluation process. It's a point for us as a sector to reflect how is it that we define ourselves as a community radio station, and therefore what do we define in terms of what we want to sustain. Do we want to sustain the building, the staff? What is it that if it gets left behind, it doesn't matter, but what is the core key things that we want to sustain for the longest period of time? That if we lose that, then we are no longer a community radio. And that's the question I'd like ourselves to ask. It also links up to how we define community radio in terms of being distinct from other broadcasters. if community radio is distinct from other broadcasting that is happening in the country today, what part of that distinction therefore do we want to sustain, and what is required to sustain that distinction? So clearly we articulated that it is community participation of a certain kind in terms of ownership. We clearly define that it is in terms of independence of the media, in terms of having a voice for the community and not just information dissemination. And therefore we have to define the functions that a community radio station has to continue to perform in order to remain sustainable. So there are two areas that I'm talking about. One is how I define myself as community radio station as distinct from other broadcasting, and the other is what therefore are the functions that I need to perform continuously to sustain. And while we are moving, while the session is called Beyond the Financial Puzzle, while it is not about finances, it is about resources. Money as different from resources, and resources are therefore the human resources or the institutional resources or the networks or the friends or the other kind of things that are there in the community that hold up a community radio station. Alfonso Gumincio talked about the tripod of sustainability, and he talked about social, the institutional and the financial, and all three kind of hold up a CR station. And I just want to problematize that a little bit to say that there are various layers. So there is no one kind of social dynamics, or there is no one kind of institutional dynamics. And so in those layers, again going back to my first question, what it is that we want to sustain? Or is any kind of institution, as long as the institution holds itself together, then it's sustainable and it's adequate. And this tripod exists in an environment. The environment that is created by the policy, the environment that is created by the funds that are available in the sector. And I think that a policy that would restrict the kinds of ownership that are possible of community radio stations, or a policy that could restrict the kinds of content, and while Ashish did say that news is not important, I still want to emphasize that it's part of it. But it is very important in terms of, so if there are still those restrictions that continue to exist, the sustainability will not be long term. Especially, I would call for a policy that thinks of media as a right. Having a voice, communities to have a voice, to have their point of view heard in an increasingly corporatized environment that media is today. Communities have a right to that media, to that independent media. And in a democracy, the government is obliged to provide that environment for the community radio sector to thrive. And I am grateful that you made leaps in this regard with a very supportive government. And I think it's very important at this point to look at the revised policy that is coming to see how much further can we leap while the space is still available. Because there are many hurdles that may very soon come up given the impending elections. And I am not afraid to say that many things could be stagnated. So it's important for us at this point of time to look at this policy in the light of being urgent about it and seeing what else can be achieved quickly so that this policy creates a long-term sustainability for the kind of CR that we are wanting to sustain. And I just want to make a couple of points on the kind of funding that therefore could benefit sustainability. While the operations remain resources, while the operations of a CR station remain part of community resources or driven by community resources, I think it is important for funding to be available for research in order to inform better ways of doing engagement with the of enriching the work that CR stations are doing, including capacity building for CR stations to do their own research. There is importance for funding support to create stronger self-regulatory mechanisms. So to support self-regulation, not to support regulation, but to support self-regulation. To support funding for supporting partnerships, possibilities of partnerships, funding to support better engagement with newer technologies. All of which is conceived, but I think it has to be more in the forefront rather than just technology in the fund. That is being proposed. And lastly, I just want to say that media and media technologies are a space for ongoing struggle, for the meanings of pleasure, for the meanings of knowledge, and for power. And if we want, in our democracy, for communities to have the power to say what they have to say and to demand accountability, we need to sustain the ideal kind of CR that we thought of when we were a movement, and not lose out on that energy when we are institutionalizing ourselves as CR stations that are operating in the remote areas.
Thank you, Venu. I think, thank you. You raised a number of very, very critically important points and lots of food for thought over there. I just want to clarify that I said actually the ban on news, and while it's extremely problematic, and you know, we obviously need to work towards revoking that ban, but we need to also do much, much more. Yeah, and I think, but I think what Venu has brought to the table is really looking at community radio very much as an essential part of communication rights, and we shouldn't lose sight of that. And secondly, she's also talked about another very important responsibility for us. It is up to us now to be proactive about policy reform and making it better. Otherwise, we'll only have ourselves to blame. I now request Archana Kapoor, who is the GSEC of the CRA, just elected GSEC of the CRA from Radio Mewat, to make her presentation.
Thank you, Ashish. You let the cat out of the bag. We would have done it at the general body meeting, but you've already announced it. So thank you so much. No problem. You know, I think that all the speakers on this panel before me have raised very pertinent questions. I've been operating a station only for 3 years now, and I'm struggling with a lot of questions about sustainability already. I'm sure those who are sitting in this hall who've been running stations or been associated with the movement for more than 10, 12 years or 15 years, I don't know, must have some answers to these, and I would like to just raise some points and then talk about what I feel is sustainability. As a person running a station and also working with a number of stations, just by being part of CRA, I feel that actually a station itself is the best judge about sustainability. Is it sustainable or is it not sustainable? The very fact that none of the 160 or 140 stations have closed down. So I think at some point of time, they are all managing somehow or the other. So in a way, they are all sustainable. So that is one thing which I would like to say, and that's why this number is continuously increasing. If we did not have a sustainability model, be it any of the points which have been raised or issues which have been raised, be it social, cultural, manpower, financial, technical, with training, without training, and there I really like what Paolo said, that it's a work in progress. You know, you keep learning, it's on-the-job training. So I think that we have, and I agree with Venu and Ashish, that we spend so much time talking about sustainability, and I'm really happy that this time we are going beyond financial sustainability. And this has been my own experience, because when I started the station, I was only thinking about how will I run it in terms of money. The other things were kind of taking a back seat. But now after 3 years, I can very well and very confidently tell you that that is the last of our concerns as I'm sitting here. The radio station is running on its own. We have a community participant from Radio Mewat here, and the radio is running. The Hello Saheli program, which Nisha mentioned yesterday and again today, is her idea. It is her experience, and I only learnt about it as when she told me that they worked with some others and they felt that they needed a platform. So would I call that a sustainable program which has come out from demands of the community, because she's a community representative, and most of the people in my station only, we have one person who's not from the community, all the other 14, 15 are from the community. That brings me to a number of other questions. How do you define sustainability beyond financial sustainability? Do you look at the number of hours you are broadcasting? Will that make you sustainable? Will you feel very nice saying that I'm broadcasting for 24 hours or 22 hours or 16 hours or 5 hours or just 2 hours? So what kind of broadcast of hours does it add to your sustainability? Being able to market every second that you have of that 5 minutes, is that adding to your sustainability? What kind of program content? Repeatedly it is said that, let the community make programs, let the community do this, let the community do that. And I'm totally with it. I'm totally for it. But the fact of the matter is that at some stage, stagnation does come in. The same kind of voices, the same kind of people. We talk a lot about voices, but even in these voices, there are some which are very prominent voices. And some, no matter how much you try, will not come to your station. How do you engage with them? And do you really need to engage with them? Is another question which I want to ask. Vinod had started a nice little conversation in one of the CRF Google things. How much is enough? And I think that really made me think a lot about how much is enough. Where are we going? Who are we to determine this path or that path, or participation, or define community, or define program content and quality and everything. As an operator, all these things really, believe me, bother me. Because at the end of it, you need people to run the station. You need to pay these people. We all are sitting here, we may be having other sources of livelihood. Our salaries must be taken care of some institute or some university or the parent NGO or somebody. But what about these people who are giving their entire time, commitment, devotion? They also have families to feed. We cannot push away the financial sustainability part, even if this is not about financial sustainability. We talk about good money and bad money. I think this is a forum to discuss the code of ethics. I think this is a forum which, when we talk about sustainability, we must talk about ethics. We don't need to always talk about programming, because I'm sure over 2 years, and I'm going back to Nisha and a number of community members who we work with, or Jamila, whose voice we heard in the Anna radio, which won the award. I'm sure when the first time she came to the station, she must have been hesitant, she must have fumbled, she must have pressed all the wrong buttons. For a minute, maybe there was no transmission. But then, would you call that you're not sustainable because you were off air for 5 minutes? When we are asked to fill up forms for awards and sustainability, I haven't filled it up this year, but we were asked, did we ever go off air? Will we be judged if we have gone off air? Because it's a reality. There is a crisis. Suddenly power has, come, God has been very kind, and suddenly you had this huge crisis and everything has gone off. But these are realities. And we need to accept them, or a disaster has happened. So will a station which has not been running for 1 month, if it is not in a disaster zone, be called not sustainable? That is my question. Another thing I want to talk about is repeatedly we keep on feeling embarrassed about having only 160 stations or 140 stations or 120 stations. Is having 1,000 or 4,000 stations going to make us sustainable in this movement? Will that add to our sustainability? Will we be able to show our report card, oh now India has 4,000 stations? I don't think so. Because as we grow and as we expand, we have to do a capacity. We don't want to be a NREGA program which is launched 85,000 crores or whatever, I don't even know that figure, without having systems in place, without having regulators in place, without having inspectors in place or training of SDMs or DMs or whosoever is going to handle that kind of money. So I think a lot of attention has to be given to, again, we talk about community. Let's go back to all our stations. And we would go with our camera, but because the government was giving us this money, and then we would go and knock at the volunteers' door and say, oh, the camera team has come, open the room, this, that, and the other. Then the newspapers would be brought out, and these were the total literacy campaign things, and everything. And I gave up doing that kind of work because I thought, what am I doing? Is this how I'm going to sustain this total literacy campaign in the country and go from 50% literacy to 78% literacy or 74% literacy? Volunteers is very good. It's very good when you're working this kind of setup. But volunteerism alone will not sustain your radio stations. And I'm saying this with deep emphasis, and I've been saying it since Sammelan 1. Because I feel it's a kind of exploitation. This is my own personal opinion. A lot of people may not agree with this. Lastly, why did NRHM start paying the ASHA worker? Why did they start paying people? Because they realized even if it's a token, even if it is 500 rupees or 20 rupees for bringing a TB patient to the hospital, let them be given that 20 rupees. Let them feel that they need to do this and they need to go back and buy some sweets or buy something or buy some vegetables for their family members. I won't take much time. And I also want to say, I'll just give one example. When I started this radio station, and as I told you, and I think my colleague Desha has been talking about it all the time, that there was not a single door which we didn't knock. ADC, DC, because I work in Haryana, Chandigarh, knocking at every door. Nobody was willing to listen to us. And then we said, just forget about everybody, just let's start making our programs and doing what we want to do. And then I remember I'd gone to the Panchayati Raj department for toilets because only 16.8% houses, even in 2014, only have toilets in Mewat. And they said, no, we have our own systems and who listens to the radio and what is this and what is that. Okay, we came back, we made our own jingles, we made our own programs, we went to the community, we started doing things. After exactly a year, I happened to be in Mewat and I saw this group of 5 officers walk up the steps. And I thought that he was familiar, and then he came up and he said, do you remember me? And I said, I think I've seen you. And he said, I am so-and-so from the Panchayati Raj Ministry, and we were working in that village. And we were wondering how to promote this concept, and the people told us that why don't you use Radio Mewat? So with those words, I would like to end because I finished my time.
So thank you very much, Archana. I think Archana brings to her presentation a very strong experiential component. So thank you very much for that. Thanks, Archana. Our final speaker this evening is Ramnath Bhatt, who is the Vice President. He has 2 hats of Vice Presidentship. He's the Vice President of, I'm a bit worried what I should say first, but Vice President AMAC South Asia, AMAC Asia Pacific, and also Vice President Community Radio Forum of India.
Let's just say I have many vices.
Yeah, but this is one of his virtues, hopefully.
Yeah, so I'm just going to keep it a little more abstract. So I just want to start off with this question of why it's relevant today. 2 things come to mind. One is that the Telecom Regulatory Authority of India has been asked on giving recommendations on how to renew your GOPA licenses. According to a business standard article, TRAI has also been asked to give recommendations on how to price your spectrum. To me, these underlying implication is what makes the station tick. How should your license be renewed? How should your spectrum be priced? These are both questions on what is really the worth of a community radio station, right? And that is really the question that we have to answer. So I'm going to try and attempt that at 3 levels. I'm looking at one at the station-specific level, the other at the sector of the community radio level, and the other is more at the radio ecology level, which is the FM radio, so public, commercial and community. Right? And these 3 are, I think, quite closely linked. You can't really divorce one from the other. So I won't go in a linear discussion, but I will go kind of interlinking these two. So at the station level, I think one thing we need to really kind of acknowledge is that the accountability to listeners, and it's been said before, and I would like to reiterate that. And perhaps this is one simple way of testing this. I mean, when you go back, try and switch off your transmitters for a few hours, and if you get a few calls from your listeners, then you're on the right path. You know, so, and if no one calls, then you know there's something wrong happening. And I think you have to build, very consciously, you have to build an audience. And loyal audiences are built, according to me, if your programming satisfies two kind of critical conditions. I'm not saying the list is exhaustive, but at least two critical conditions. That you let your listeners set the agenda, and you let your listeners speak on the radio. And these are the two kind of fundamental ways in which you distinguish yourself from public radio, where you can't reach, and commercial radio, where you can reach, but you're not setting the agenda. So these two are kind of very critical distinguishing characteristics as a third tier, as we call it. And I think, according to me, we have to drop, or we have to stop thinking that we will empower the communities. We will not empower the communities will empower themselves. And we are a diverse country, and I think we have to let communities take control of their own development. Let development come to mean different things. And let communities define development in their own ways. And it can mean different things. As someone has said, you know, a revolution without dancing is a revolution not worth having. So let people define how they want to have the revolution. Also, I remember a line which a friend of mine told me recently about community radio. He said, kind of looking at the community radio sector in India, he said radios need to stop looking for communities. We need to create an environment where communities can find the radio, right? So I think we need to start moving towards that, regardless of how we do it. There was a question about participation. What is community participation? And according to me, I think there is a danger of reducing community participation to community presence at a microphone. It doesn't mean if a community is talking on the microphone, it doesn't mean it's community participation. I think we need to go beyond. And I think the facilitators here need to develop a sense, a feel for what the people have. What are their fears, what are their desires, what are the celebrations, what are their struggles. And I think there's a danger also of having a single narrative or a single story. I think there needs to be a conscious move in community radio to have a diversity in languages, dialects, opinions, diversity in gender, diversity in caste, and so on. It has to be a very conscious move. And that's what really inclusive participation means. Also, I think when we say looking beyond financial sustainability, my personal opinion is that we do have an increasingly too much money in this sector. And I know this might not be a very popular stance with many of you. I know that the financial need is very real, and many of my friends who are operating community radio stations, I know will shout at me, but I know that it's a very real need. But I think that if you look at other sectors, look at small and medium regional newspapers, become totally dependent on government ads. And I don't mean to be paranoid saying the government will control you or censor you. That's not my point. My point is cash flow cycles. Small independent media are overtly dependent on cash flow cycles. And if you come to depend on DABP, then your money will come at March end. And how do you sustain through the year? And I bet a lot of you who are empaneled with DABP are already realizing this. So I think we need not just editorial independence, but a diversification of sources of funds. And I think that's an important principle in helping you sustain yourself for your own self. And I think that's something worth thinking about. Also, I agree with Dr. Sridhar. I think programming needs to be supported because sometimes community radios simply don't operate in viable markets. Sometimes the programming is inherently of public interest. It speaks of rights and it deserves some investment. I think the problem which I can see in government is that there is this ghost of the Christmas past. This 2G judgment, we have to overcome it. And if there is some way in which we can figure out, without fearing discretionary kind of allocation, yet coming up with transparent ways to reward public interest programming, I think it's a vision worth striving for. At the sectoral level, I think in the coming policy, I would like to see some kind of principles included. One is a spirit of universal access and universal obligations. If you look at the telecom policy from 99 onwards, the policy opens up with some kind of obligations or a spirit of obligations. And I think community radio needs to inculcate that spirit of obligations. Which are the districts, which are the blocks, which are media dark? How can we prioritize access to those who have none? Which are the major languages or cultures who have no community radio? Can we prioritize those? Freedom of expression, we've spoken about news, so I won't spend time on it. But can we have a policy which recognizes the linkage of community radio to Article 19? And above all, I think the highest value we need to strive for is media pluralism and media diversity. Can we get smaller so we can have more radio stations? And radios owned by different communities, speaking about different things, using different platforms. So ultimately, we'll truly have a diversity of views, opinions and ideas. And I think that's where community radio really fits in. I mean, it can contribute to that. Also, I think specific sector level very quickly, I think more freedoms are needed at the ecology level, but we need some basic protections. So at the policy level, we need to work towards better freedoms. And at the sectoral level, I think some basic kind of freedom protections are needed. I think, can we look at protections in terms of the quantum of airwaves we have? How much FM protection in the FM band? I think a lot of people are struggling with limited coverage, so can we look at community AM band? Latin America and a lot of other countries have community telephony. So as telecoms migrate from 2G to 3G to 4G, what's happening to the legacy spectrum, right? What kind of equitable digital transition can we bring about? What is the period of simulcasting? What kind of subsidies do we have for digital receivers? All kind of questions. I think those kind of protections we have to think about. Also, I think there is a need for a platform at the ecology level where commercial radio, public radio and community radio have to talk to each other. Because I think we need to realize how each of us impact each other's existence. I remember, I think early on in the sector, there was a notice that community radios can't use the word FM. I mean, this kind of backdoor lobbying by commercial guys, I think it's unfounded. I mean, they have unfounded fears about community radio. And I think we need to talk to them, and they need to talk to us. And similarly with commercial radio. And I think a lot of those fears will disappear if there's genuine kind of it. Also, I think as ad rates increase, are we making the sector unviable for a lot of the smaller commercial entities? And what are their fears in that? As a whole, if the sector is not sustainable, the whole thing will come collapsing down. And I think we have to start looking at it at a slightly larger, broader level, right? Finally, I think, we have a very good bureaucracy right now in the Ministry of IND. No comments about other ministry handling schedules. But, we're not going to have them forever. And we need systems in place which can actually look at the community radio in a sustainable way. And that's for me the broadest question. Since 1997, the broadcast bill's been languishing in Parliament. And I think we need to have an independent regulator who can look at methods of administration, who can look at methods of licensing. And the role of the ministry really needs to be looking at the larger questions. Where is the growth of community radio? How has it impacted access? How has it impacted media diversity? Those are the kind of questions a ministry or a political animal needs to be. Whereas an independent regulator or a self-regulating agency can look at micro issues, can look at administrative issues, can look at licensing issues. And that kind of partnership will actually help you become more sustainable, and those are the things I have, or I feel as an outsider, not as an operating station, but as someone who's kind of thinking about this sector. So I end with that, and thanks for your patience.
And and their implications in terms of sustainability. He's also touched upon another very important issue, which I won't say too much about, but I hope will come up in the discussions outside, the need to learn from environments outside India in addressing the larger problems of and the larger issues of sustainability. He's talked about Latin America and community telephony, the need to look at community AM now. I think I'm not going to attempt to sum up, but I'll open what all the speakers have said. I'll do that right at the end, but I'll now open up the house for questions.
Much money in this sector, and you're right, I think that's going to not vibe with a lot of people given the financial challenges that many stations are facing. But then let's unpack that. How do you see that in terms of the community radio support fund that we've just been talking about? That's the first question. Second question is open to everyone. In the context of the CR policy that we have today, you have referred to put together a policy that is supportive of sustainability. Second question for you.
Can we quickly go back over here? Then there's Vinod, then we move to Supriya, and then we have a question from the gentleman there, and the lady behind. Okay?
Yeah, two quick, hasn't come up anywhere else, at least in this Sammelan. The issue of voluntarism, and that radio, community media globally is supposed to be about voluntarism. But Western sort of Eurocentric notions of time, I don't know, maybe next Sammelan, Supriya, in a, let's say, a deprived community, running a community radio station, some of my time to go and volunteer because I can afford to do it. Express this dilemma. I'm not saying that therefore stations should be low.
We will be somewhere in the sector. But there's only one point that, in fact, this came in the last Sammelan also, that there is made. So, it's basically, this also comes from my experience and many other people's experience of working in Image last year also, where you find that communities have certain belief that this is what the development is for them, and that may actually not be really good, and it may not be good for women, it may not be good for girl child, which is development. So if you really, and therefore, definitely government should also not say that this is what the development is for you. Development, a lot of progress has been made. For example, if you say, say for example polio, or take HIV, or it's because in the HIV/AIDS sector, or in the health sector, important messaging is very important. It's very important that the community gets the right kind of a messaging. And people who are HIV positive and believes that that is what is good for them. Because if these people are eliminated from the society, this is absolutely something that we should avoid. But then how do we come to this, who decides what actually is the development? So if you say, one sector says no, let the community decide, another sector says let the government decide, I think, it's a very confusing kind of a scenario, because there has to be somebody, or a collective body at least, who will say this is right for you. What I would like to suggest, the community radio station decide that this is what actually we would like to do.
Okay. Yeah, about the one, I disagree with this lady over here. I think there is already too much money. And as the sector grows, we can't keep inflating our budgets. And we have to kind of think of standing up on our own feet. And I'm talking based on evidence from other media sectors. So, one way to go about it is to lessen your own expenses instead of, depending on more money. And we have to analyze what is the biggest, expenditure for each community radio station. I wouldn't bet on it, but I'm kind of sure that it's the biggest expense is the salary component of the staff, right? And this brings to the heart of the debate about volunteerism versus paid staff, because that is a key aspect of the sustainability. How much are you paying out in salaries? And I don't have any fixed answers either, but my personal recommendation to community radio stations has been, look at it in two kind of distinct kinds of programming. 75 to 80% of the function of a community radio station should perform the role of democratization of media. So don't have an agenda, don't spend too much money on it. Focus on being a bridge where your people who are your audience can talk on the radio. in the easiest way possible, in the least structured way as possible. If they can call in directly, let them call in. 25% is where you really need to invest. And that's where you need the staff. They need to know how to do research. They need to know how to get a sense of what is the really relevant issues. And that's where I want to address Supriya's questions. Because some things the community can't see. Even if they might have an opinion, some things are invisible. Like a lot of health issues might not be actually very tangible or visible, right? And that kind of thing requires research, it requires investment, it requires time. And therefore you can do it only for 25 to 30%. You cannot sustain this as 100% of your program. So it needs to be small, it needs to be focused, and that component needs paid. The rest of it has to be volunteer driven. And I believe that if you make it relevant enough, open enough, people will contribute. It doesn't have to be a burden where they have to come every day to the station. If they can talk from where they are, we have mobile phones, let's experiment. And I'm pretty sure we can do this. And I'm not saying this is the gospel truth, but it's my opinion. And I hope that with that opinion I've answered Supriya's, Ram's and Vinod's with one shot. Super answer. Thank you.
I want to read out something that I thought saying in my when I was speaking, but I think I'll read it out just for everybody's benefit. And taking the cue from Ashish saying that we should learn from experiences elsewhere. So in his study of 6 community radio stations in East Africa, Conrad Palm asked the basic question: how does external financial ownership of a community radio station in East Africa influence its sustainability and grassroots identity? He found that each of the stations that he studied was created and sustained by external donations, that the prevailing ownership model is not sustainable, that relationships between station staff and donors are stronger than the synergy between stations and their audiences, and that this model reinforces a "we are poor" mentality, in effect subtracting as opposed to endowing the community with agency. So the point being that if you are looking at community's agency and if you are looking at community ownership, then the resources that have to be created have to be from within the community. And I just want to talk a little bit about that volunteer. It is a crisis. I can see why it is a crisis, because if we start big, our sustainability requirements become much bigger because we are starting big. Why can't we start really small? We start with one computer, one transmitter, very low cost studio. I don't think we have created the need in our communities for a community radio station. The stations are being set up and then we are trying to find participation. Our doors that can remain open, but communities will not come in. We can keep our doors open. So I think we haven't managed to create a need for a community media where the community says, okay, we would like to have a voice. And that is the crisis of sustainability. So I think first we may be going back to the drawing board, but we have to create that need. And if it takes longer, I mean, again, this is probably not the time to say that it should take longer, but if we have to take longer, then so be it. So start small, that's what I would say. Start very, very small. And there are examples where communities have volunteered to create another room as a studio. Communities have volunteered to do other stuff. Okay, yeah, I'm done.
I just want to respond to Mr. Ram, especially to specialist in this area. It's a basic framework. You can't, we don't have the dietary parameters in this framework. So it is a basic document which provides for that of the organization. What the dietary conditions cannot be performed.
I have been briefed to be very brief and also to be censoring my own comments. So I am going to make only a few remarks about voluntarism and the money. I want to say only from my own example, from day one in Anna University, we did pay the volunteers, but not their money. Something for the travel, something for the hospitality. If a person comes in, gypsies we have recorded, snake charmers we have recorded. They come to the studio, we pay them the auto chauffeur, we give them a lunch. Nothing is free in this club. And if you start paying them, and I pay the students, the vice chancellor reprimanded me. Why are you paying the students? We should get the money from the students only. I paid them 150 rupees per day. 10 days, 1,500, enough for the mess fees. I get 30 different voices. I get 30 different community voices. Therefore, I will please budget it or provide some money, not high money, some money to the volunteers for the travel. If they have gone to Manrega, they would have got some minimum wage. We should have done. Please budget.
I just want to, maybe some people don't like this, but when we started community radio, we didn't have the community resource fund. So obviously we had already decided that we were going to raise some money or run the radio in whatever way we want. And secondly, if money becomes a motive and some people are calculating 5 crores divided by 160 and what it works like, then I think we are not listening. For 2 days we are just not listening. And if we are not listening, then what are we doing in this sector? I just want to leave this there. Number 2, I just want to say one thing about, I'm sorry, but I don't agree with what Venu said. You start with one computer, then where is the inclusion of voices? How are you opening it up to so many people? Because, say, nobody comes alone to your studio, and this I'm telling you out of experience. 3-4 people come, you tell them you sit for 2 hours because somebody is using the computer. How small is small again? And how large is large again? So you have to have the basic minimum. And this I'm telling you out of my own experience, that Hemant helped us with the equipment. And we realized that, from the very start, you need 4 to 5 computers because you're going to make mistakes, one is not going to work and whatever. So I think, again, going back to this kind of very nice feeling that start small and, you just can manage, I think we need to be a little more practical also at times because this is what we are facing every day in the communities we are working with. Thank you.
One small point, after second, really after this. Whenever the government use money to our community radio station, I am talking about 35 community radio stations, to pay the community, they are not paying. They say, in this project you are asking me to pay, after the project is over, what will I do for normal? So I will not pay. So they did not get back the money also. Please, if somebody offers it to pay to community, what prevents you from paying to them?
Right. Very quickly, we have people who've caught my eye earlier, who've got their hands. We have 2 ladies from there, Vandana and the lady from Azamgarh ki Kaavaz. If you could just introduce yourself also. 2 of you, then Hemant, and then Stalin. And then Arati.
I think my point, I'm Vandana from Radioactive. This was probably the first, and I agree with Venu in the part when you talked about this whole moving towards this whole process of documentation, fulfilling certain parameters. But I'm wondering if it's also a part of this whole, the movement becoming a sector. If it becomes a part of it. Now since Ram put up those 3 things, I don't know if it's because of that my thought, but I'm wondering if, as Parala sir was also mentioning about more involvement in people's movement and about communication rights, whether those theories, those concepts made more sense in a movement perspective and probably are not making that much sense in a sectoral way of looking at community radio as such. It's a comment.
People outside, yeah. Oh, okay. Oh, in the room, I'm sorry.
Okay, I am from West of Azamgarh, Uttar Pradesh. ये सुविधा मिलेगी कि इनकी जो फीस है वो थोड़ी आपको कम होगी. आप सरकारी हॉस्पिटल जाओगे तो आपको पहले देखने को मिलेगा क्योंकि बहुत भीड़ होती है हमारे यहाँ और ये सारी सुविधाएं हैं. और जहाँ तक अभी जैसे कृपा शंकर जी कह रहे थे कि गवर्नमेंट उनकी गवर्नमेंट उनको देती होगी, हमारी गवर्नमेंट हमसे फ्री में काम करा लेती है, कहती है हम सूचनाएं भेज रहे हैं, आप उसको दे.
Thank you.
You're not getting my point. We're having no spoken word, only songs. Only songs. I know, you're not getting my, see, this is the problem.
Oh, okay.
He's not a musician.
Excuse me. Yeah, Ashish, yeah, sure.
The point about not listening, as Archana said, this is not about being defensive. I'm just trying to make a point. I know all stations here broadcast cultural folk song. I know that. The point is there a station that does only folk song? Only. No health, is an observation. It's an observation. This is an observation that comes from the fact that we came to set up a station with an agenda. The community was not setting the agenda. And some of the things that we're discussing is a result of that. As I said earlier, where is the impetus? The stepping stone is projectized. Obviously, it will follow the NGO norms. It is obvious. I'm not saying it negatively or positively. It's a reflection. And for that, some of us will be held responsible by history for doing this massive blunder that we did at the time that we did that, saying that, you know, right, in history we might be like, we might be judged by saying you fools should not have let this happen. What is beautiful about Africa and Latin America is that it did not begin as a project. It began as Hemant was saying, as an impulse to want to shout, and my shout is not big enough to reach, therefore I need an amplification. That amplification is radio, and therefore it grew and grew and grew. For the people who are new here, that might be the way to do it. What we are doing is not necessarily wrong, but that might be the way to encourage other people as well. And this is where the Community Radio Support Fund should play a role to diversify not just programming and management, but also diversify the kind of stations we are envisaging. And therefore, yes, we should start small, whatever that small may be.
Thank you. Thanks. We have a comment from Aarti.
Try and keep them very short. One is that, everybody, Regiment and all, you've been saying, when I think of Hemant talking about community radio as impulses to express ourselves, I think there is enough, merit in saying, let it tell you.
For questions, I'd just like the speakers, the panelists now to respond and to also make their final comments before we wind up.
Sir, only 1 minute actually, just like me.
Right, may I ask our panelists now to respond?
I just want to get back. I wasn't trying to say they don't have 4,000 stations or 5,000 or 10,000. And where is the impulse? Look at the process that we have to go through to set up a radio station. What impulse are we talking about? Number two, even to set up a station. We are running these awareness workshops and we know that people, LOI holders, come after 2 to 3 years and they still haven't got their license. Mandakini ki awaaz also bolte. Number two, I would like to say that my own experience is that I was also very fascinated by this, and I'm only talking out of my own experience that you need just 25,000 rupees to set up a station. But when I got quotes, the minimum quote was 5.5 lakhs. So let's not, deceive ourselves time and again by talking about these things and kind of mislead people. You can start a station for 5 lakhs. I finally did that. I'm not saying that you need 15, but you do need some money. So why are we keeping on? And we've all set up stations, Aarti. Let's be very truthful. How have we set up our stations? We did need that little reserve. And how did we get that? So it's very nice to talk about these things, and I'm also from this sector. I also call myself an activist, and now very firmly propagate the concept of community radio, but with my own experience of going through this. And lastly, this, programs you're talking about 200. Why are you calculating the money? Look at the content. If you have to do 50 programs or 60 programs, it's giving you an opportunity to engage with your community. Go time and again to the community, understand the issues and bring them back. Don't calculate the money. Don't do your mathematics. Just look at this as an opportunity to engage time and again. If they are giving you the money to pay for the petrol of the motorcycle of the person who is your staff, because you don't have 5 motorcycles. 2 of my motorcycles have been chori kar. What do? I work in Mewat. They've been stolen. So I have to pay that petrol. So for me, that 3,000, 5,000 rupees gives me a chance to send my people, staff, volunteers, whosoever, to go and also provide lunch at the radio station.
Aarti, your concerns of mathematics is taken care of.
Okay, take the rest of this
last part. Okay. I just want to make a thing. Please, the subject which is given by Mr. Supriya is sustainability puzzle beyond financial. The first one, what the mail I got was beyond financial sustainability. I would like to say that sustainability is beyond finances. It's conviction. And you have 160. If somebody documents all the 160 all the 160 experiences, you will have a wealth of information to make your radio station sustainable.
My only
Thank you.
request to all the people is that we have a very senior officer from DAVP who's been waiting for the
Yes.
last 1.5 hours. I think, you know, it's time also because we have requested him to come and it's already beyond. So if you can just keep your questions and discuss with the panelists one-to-one later. And I request Ashish to be in my meeting.
Sure. May I just, since there are 3 left, is 1 sentence, 2 sentences each? Yeah? Okay. Thank you, Supriya.
I just want to add this. What additional you are going to get by bringing out an act was the policy guidelines and I feel it is adequate to deal with all the problems. Bringing out an act is a serious job for 2-3 years.
Just want to quickly say that when we are revisiting our policy, it will be useful to just keep the media rights lens on as we read the revised policy throughout.
Vandana's question to me was sector movement kind of conflict. I mean, if we have 2 trade bodies, we have 160 stations sitting in Vigyan Bhavan for 4 years continuously. Paisa bhi aa raha hai, there's a committee for equipment within a committee for funding. Then I don't know what else we need to do to be a sector. So obviously, I mean, of course we're a movement, but of course we're also a sector. So I think that's in some ways the tension I think is coming out in many ways. Thank you.
Thank you, Ram. I'd like to thank all the speakers over here. Supriya, Anya, a big hand to everyone. Just a very, very quick wind up in 2 sentences. One is, and I'm not going to attempt any muscle, is not easy. But the key to unlocking it, if we are to go beyond financial sustainability, is that we have to get back to some fundamentals. And what those fundamentals are from the voices we heard over here, very, very quickly, I'm just going to pick up some of the ones which resonate. Community radio as impulse. Community radio as impulse, so that in order to achieve that impulse, we have to embrace rights, to embrace change. Okay? And less is more, we have to keep it simple. Finally, all this needs to be subsumed in enabling legislation. We have to work towards making this legislation enabling. One of the things we touched upon, we did not discuss enough over here, and perhaps we need to do this in another forum. It is important to look at the experiences of enabling legislation from other countries which have lessons for us. We touched upon Latin America. I think a lot that we can learn from the Argentina law, for instance, which talks about 30% spectrum equity, which talks about community AM. All this we take for another day. Thank you once again. We've had a lot of heat and some light. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you, thank you, thank you to our dignitaries. I think I need to request Supriya ma'am to run this seminar in 2 shifts now, because there's so many things we spoke about. And I just constantly got a song in my head when the discussion was going on. Baap Bada Na Maiya. The whole thing is that is सबसे बड़ा.
बस 15 मिनट में हम खत्म करेंगे, maybe 10 minutes में भी खत्म करेंगे. And I would like to introduce Mr. Prakash here, who is ADGP in DAVP. और हमने शुरू में क्या किया था सुबह? We had actually taken all the chips that you had given to me, and we sent it to him, and he has been, really, has taken efforts during the day to go through all those issues that have been raised by you, and let's directly listen to him in order to save time. So.
Thank you, Supriya. One thing I'm sure of, with or without DAVP, with or without finances, community radio is going to sustain. And the very urge to communicate, community's urge to communicate, urge to be heard is so great, which has been evident, from this session which I have been for 1.5 hours almost. It is very clear that funds coming, not coming, you are going to I got around 24 references on this August gathering. Mostly it's about, empowerment. So let me share with you that like for a couple of months, for certain reasons, the exercise of, empowering community radio operators has not taken place. And we are planning immediately after, closing of this financial year, because this happens to be, very tough months for us, January to March. So sometime in April, we will meet, the panel advisory committee will meet, take a view. In most of the cases, we have this document, but I can just quickly run through the names,
अभी करते रहना
papers are missing.
टेप नहीं है इसमें
Complete that before that. Like there is one Mandesi Tarang.